So if you're working the basic cuts on a potato, just like everything else, you want your first cut to be for stability. So I'm going to cut until I have a flat edge on my potato, and now my potato does not roll around. I want to continue that cut all the way around until I have even and pretty flat sides. So now that I have my potato in a square, I'm going to put these into my scrap bowl. If I were making mashed potatoes or the like, I would be in good shape. So now that I have a stable potato, I want to go from slice to stick to cube. The depth of my slice is going to determine one side of my cube. If I want to get to a brunoise, if I want to get to a dice, then the depth in which I cut my first slice is going to be the depth in which I go. So utilizing the claw, looking down, that's going to guide my hand. If I'm going for a dice, I want to cut a slice that's approximately 1/4 of an inch thick. So I'm cutting slices. If I wanted to go with a julienne, then I'm going to go for a much thinner slice because ultimately I want my dice to be much thinner in the long run. So now that I have a slice, my next cut is going to be a stick. I want to make my stick an even depth from how thick I made my slice. So I'm going to flatten that out so it's nice and flat and stable. And I want to use my claw as a guide. And I'm going to cut down and make a stick that is even in depth to the first slice that I made. The same thing on my julienne. So now that I have thinner slices here, I want to make much skinnier sticks to reach my julienne. If I have uneven cuts, I put them into my prep bowl. So for my first, I have sticks that are even in size all around. And this would be referred to as a bâtonnet. As I cut them to the side, I turn them with my knife, utilizing my rocking up and down motion. And again, I want to continue to move my knife in the same depth that I have done to create a dice that is even on all sides. So that when I end up with cubes, that are the same size on all sides. If I make a slice or a stick or a cube in a different depth, then my sides are not even. If I want to turn my julienne, my skinny little sticks, into a brunoise, I want to turn them to the side. I'm going to even them up. And I'm going to make dices in a nice fine little dice right here. And now I have potatoes that are in a brunoise, which is going to be the finest of the dices. If I wanted to take this down one step further, I could do a mince. And if I was going to do a mince, I would put my hand on top of my knife. I would use a rocking motion back and forth across my food items, and I would continue to chop this little bitty dice as small as possible. Slice, stick, cube.